Well, Charlie joins us now. I wonder if you can bring us up to date on the very latest situation.
So yesterday morning, of course, the IDF issued that warning via its liaison officers in the UN that people in North Gaza had 24 hours to head south of the Wadi Gaza, a river halfway down the Gaza Strip. That's 1.1 million people needing to flee in such a short amount of time down just two main supply routes in the area. The UN and other international observers described the move as impossible, and this morning the IDF has extended that deadline by 6 hours, starting just a few moments ago. Safe passage, it says, will be continued until 4 p.m. here, local time. But overnight, the IDF did continue its strikes in the Gaza Strip. It hit personnel from the Nukba brigades, the elite special forces of Hamas, who are said to have led the attack into Israel on Saturday morning. And the IDF are trying to push this message now of understanding Gaza as a strip of two levels. On the top, there are all the civilians where they live, the 1 million people in the north currently needing to flee in those impossible conditions. And then the other layer, the layer beneath the ground, the subterranean tunnel network that Hamas uses to shelter and store munitions and prepare for attacks in the mornings. Now, the IDF cannot reach those tunnels, said to be some 500 kilometres long of networks underground, until it is sure that the top layer has left the area. That way they can use more severe munitions. But some civilians, it's certain, will not be able to flee. They will not be able to make it. Many are injured, thousands have died, and as those more munitions come in, it's almost certain that more civilians will continue to be hit in the damage and in the fire.
What's the aim of this, Charlie? Because you can almost guarantee, Kai, that members of Hamas are going to start fleeing south, or will have been fleeing south so far. So is this about destroying the Hamas infrastructure rather than targeting the fighters?
It's everything. The IDF have said they want to totally destroy Hamas's military capability in both output, personnel and equipment. Overnight, when we wake up, we hear reports from the IDF of what they're targeting, and it's clear they are trying to hit both weapons and personnel. They're targeting senior commanders first, because that's where you can have the most effect on the command and organisation of Hamas. But they are also targeting headquarters, areas where munitions are stored, and also, crucially, radar capabilities that give them warnings of when fighter jets are coming south to strike them. We hear fighter jets buzzing up and down the coastline we're on pretty much constantly here in Tel Aviv, as jets head up north to get rearmed, refueled, and then head back down south to strike new Hamas targets.
I mean, that is a pretty remarkable operation that you filmed there, where we saw the Israeli soldiers going in and actually rescuing some hostages. But it also underlines just how dangerous it is, because they're in a very densely built-up area where they don't even know what they're going to come across.
Precisely, yes, and they were just localised raids, the IDF said yesterday, their first incursions into the Gaza Strip since 2014. But of course, it is an incredibly treacherous operation. Also, importantly, due to those tunnel systems that we just referred to, because it allows the Hamas terrorists to sink beneath the ground and surprise troops as they move into that location. It's already very difficult to manoeuvre heavy armour and tanks around such a densely populated urban area. But the tunnels and the shelters add a new layer of complexity. And so any incursion, when it does occur, will be inch by inch and very, very gentle, trying to push through slowly all the areas they've got there, because rocket resistance and those tunnels will provide such a strain for the Israeli forces as they attempt to push through.
And of course, there's going to be an awful lot of focus today, especially as they hit that, 2 p.m. UK time deadline, which is when we could well see that that main incursion occur. But on top of that, Charlie, I mean, there's still a lot of tension, isn't there, on the Lebanon border with Hezbollah?
That's right. I mean, this war is being fought on several fronts, and overnight the IDF claimed that it killed 4 terrorists who had crossed in from southern Lebanon. Those would be members of Lebanese Hezbollah. More troublingly for the IDF, Hezbollah are a more capable and fearsome force. This is not a the kind of enemy that they're fighting in Hamas, which are limited by the location and the funding and the blockade they're under. Hezbollah have essentially more freedom in Lebanon, where there is more political support for that group. And they also have the Shia Crescent, that stretch of land running all the way from Iran to Lebanon, to allow them to be resupplied and sustained. So drone attacks from the north and incursions from fighters from Lebanese Hezbollah will almost certainly continue. And in order to sustain that, the IDF has sent hundreds of thousands of reservists activated to resupply its fighters on the north. People we spoke to yesterday said that some of those soldiers hadn't eaten in 4 days. So rapid has the mobilisation been that the logistical supplies for the IDF haven't quite made up the expectation. This country is creaking and it is fighting back.
OK, Charlie, thanks very much indeed.